Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spoiler Warning Podcast. This is review number 725 with a review of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. I'm Christopher Schnese.
And I'm Stephen Miller.
And if you're joining us for the first time, the Spoiler Warning Podcast is a weekly film review program. Each week in the show, we're going to dive in, debate, discuss, and argue over the latest films coming to a theater near you or a streaming platform near you. It depends on whether you got to see this during the week it was in theaters like we did, or if you're like everybody else who's going to get to see it around the time this episode comes out. Which
Friday,
is,
I believe.
Yeah, which is either, perfect happenstance or a mystery. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
If you think it's hard listening to it so late, try reviewing it so late.
I know.
Tougher. So a little bit peak. I did the math. Like I looked at the calendar. So this came out the weekend after Thanksgiving. I delayed us recording on Monday 3 weeks ago because I had just gotten back in town. I'd been traveling till the night before, and I wanted to see The Glass Onion and a few other things before we recorded. So 3 weeks ago, I watched The Glass Onion in theaters. 2 weeks ago, we sat down to record a few reviews, including a review of The Glass Onion. And mid-recording, I came down with COVID. And, I have not left this office since that recording, and 2 weeks have passed. And now this thing that I had to race out to see in theaters because I wanted to get to talk about it early, and it was going to be forever before it was on Netflix, is about to be on Netflix.
Yeah, it fits in line with, usually, we might get to see a film at a festival and then we review it, and, only people paying attention to festival stuff get to listen to it, really. Everybody else probably isn't going to come back and listen to it like 6 months later when the film came out. But now we get to have that experience of see it early, then we release it right around the time it's getting released anyway. So, it worked out for everyone except for maybe you.
Yeah, no, it worked great. We're all happy. Wouldn't change a single thing.
Yeah, so if this is where we're going to find out that I come down with COVID during this recording. It's going to be pretty fun. A nice little bow on everything.
Yeah. Did you get that package I sent you?
This is a COVID package?
Yeah, the one with the little cough in a bottle that you have to open.
Yeah, that I have to figure out how to get into. Oh man, we're gonna find out. Hopefully, knock on the wood table here. Hopefully everything's gonna be fine. Hopefully you'll be fully recovered soon, and you can go out and see Avatar 2, The Way of Water, which I'm sure everyone is gonna be excited to hear what we have to say about it.
I got to tell you, I don't know. A lot of people, it seems like after they finally get COVID, they feel a little sense of like invincibility, like they want to go out and make the most of it. Now all I'm thinking is, God damn it, the moment I go back in a movie theater, I'm going to get like influenza or something.
Everything's been weakened, so now you're susceptible for all the other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to keep trying to, fight it. I feel like this is the last straw with the way things are going now, with everybody, spiking after everybody getting back from Thanksgiving. I feel like Christmas is going to be when I get it for sure. So by the time we sit down to record again,
I mean, luckily when we visit our families, we're going to places that are like extremely liberal and everyone wears masks and, it's California, right? We didn't grow up in a profoundly Republican part of a very liberal state.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's for sure.
I believe in you. One of us has to keep dodging this.
Has to go on. Man, I wish there was a good way to like really truly test like DNA wise that like even if you got it like at the beginning of the pandemic but you were like asymptomatic, like this one blood test could show that you for sure got it at some point in time, because it would be kind of not cool or fun exactly, but it would be interesting to be like, okay, yes, this is the amount of the population that has literally never gotten it, and we could just see how it goes forever, and then whoever wins at the end just gets it like that.
Yeah, I know. I loved the idea of knowing that until the second I got it, and now I'm like, damn it, I don't want to think about it. Everyone's gonna get it.
It's like activity rings on your Apple Watch.
Yeah, I immediately turned into a bitter person that's like, it's inevitable.
The streak is broken, and now fuck the world.
All because I decided to eat at a salad bar.
All right. Well, are you ready to do this, Stephen?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the trailer for Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and then come back and give everyone a review.
Hello! Oh my God!
Crew, we've arrived. Disruptors have assembled.
Welcome, gang. We got a great weekend.
Who's that?
Benoit Blanc, the detective?
Mr. Blanc, I cannot overstate my gratitude to be here. When's the murder mystery start?
I've invited you all to my island
Hi!
because tonight a murder will be committed. My murder.
Once you're dead, will we still be able to talk to you?
Yeah, I'm not playing dead the whole weekend, dude.
This is truly delightful.
Across the island, I've hidden clues. You will have to closely observe each other. If anyone can name the killer, that person wins our game. Any questions?
Halle Berry, that has a kick.
Oh my God, what happened? Holy
Ladies and gentlemen, there's been a murder, and the killer is in plain sight. For at least one person, this is not a game. I must insist that nobody touch the body.
Jeez, detective, who killed the party?
I need to find a motive for murder.
Everyone would stab a friend in the back to hold on to this rich bastard.
Deal with it.
You're all friends. Why would anyone commit murder?
Are we even going to talk about the elephant in the room?
Am I the elephant?
Yeah, you're the elephant.
You're not that bad.
Think of the danger here.
Are you calling me dangerous?
Well, we'll see.
Let it all out.
Hell yeah!
This is reckless. The killer wouldn't hesitate to kill again if it covers their tracks.
You must be really great at Clue, huh?
I'm very bad at dumb things. Ticking boxes, running around, searching all the rooms. It's just a terrible, terrible game.
All right, so that was the trailer for Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. A rating for IMDb. Famed Southern detective Benoit Blanc travels to Greece for his latest case. Stephen Miller, what did you think of Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery?
So, honestly, I felt very, very similar about Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery as I did with the original Knives Out, which is that it was super entertaining, jam-packed with witty banter. Rian Johnson tends to know exactly where the audience's head is at, and he purposely knows how to play with that, play with those expectations, stay one step ahead of the whole time. But that my enjoyment of it felt very tied to the kind of theatrical experience and maybe had a shelf life of just a few days, which isn't like a criticism. It's just the kind of movie Rian Johnson is making. He backs himself into a corner on purpose where it seems like shit, he's not going to be able to pull himself out of this one. Like, he's written himself into a dead end. There's no way this is going to be entertaining. You've revealed everything to us already. And then he does this like acrobatic trick of untangling that and surprising you anyway. And that is really entertaining and amusing as a showcase of a director, as a like thing I am participating in the moment. I don't know that amusement like lingers very long. Like, I loved Knives Out when I watched it at TIFF with you. I don't think it made a top 10 list for me at the end of the year. I felt like it was like, I loved it, and then it was kind of like poof afterwards, because I watched an acrobatic trick, right? I didn't watch like a narrative that sunk in with me. And that's kind of how I feel with Knives Out, which makes it kind of a shame that the theatrical window was so narrow that very few people are going to have that experience with Glass Onion, and B, that we're recording it 3 weeks after I watched it. Because it,
So
it
you
was
can
a lot of
test
fun.
your own feeling, basically.
Yeah, like it was a lot of fun. Like, I laughed a ton watching this movie. I just think so much of the laughter is about the high wire act that Rian Johnson is doing in making the movie, and that is just inherently kind of very like present tense, time stamped to this exact moment. there's tons of good stuff about this. Like, the cast is super game here. The cast is very funny. Daniel Craig is possibly even more funny as Benoit Blanc here. I'm sure we're going to get into spoilers at some point to talk through this movie a bit more. I don't even know what we're allowed to say before the spoilers. But he has some amazing moments of revelation and kind of parodying himself. And he just plays it great. Edward Norton, I think, as the, Elon Musky type billionaire at the center, he steers into his public persona as being like an arrogant, punchable kind of dude so well. Like, I am not sure I've ever seen him poke fun at himself quite this well before. He just like nails that role. Kate Hudson hams up every scene she's in. Like, I don't even remember the last time I saw her play such like a vital role in a movie, and it was good to have her back. Like, she still delivers. Dave Bautista is like the platonic ideal of a Dave Bautista character in this movie. Janelle Monáe is like maybe the MVP. She's just so captivating, and like everyone is having a blast, and they are very fun to watch. Some of my cons, kind of like I feel about Judd Apatow movies. I think here some of the humor feels a little too driven by like reference and celebrity cameo of just like, look at all the people we got to be in this thing, which speaks to, again, like fun in the moment, laugh in a crowded theater, but not necessarily like the kind of thing that I'm going to want to put on and watch again and again. And while in general this did keep me guessing, like, he's good at playing with audience expectations, he basically lets you think for more than half the movie that you know what he's going to do and it can't possibly be a good movie, and then pulls them off a magic trick. This time there were a few very obvious things that I called early that were played as reveals later in a way that kind of hurt the magic just a little bit. We can get into it in spoilers. Like, he didn't bat 100 with the reveals. He did pretty well, but there were some that I was like, damn it, you're really just going to do okay, that's what we're doing. But
we'll definitely have to talk about this.
What?
I said, we'll definitely have to talk about this in spoilers.
Yeah, we will.
Because
anyway, all of this is somewhat faint hindsight criticism for a movie that I had a lot of fun with in person. I just like, he's such a smart, brilliant director. He clearly can tackle any genre. He knows how to make a great movie about anything. I know he is loving this Knives Out kick. It just, for some reason, the fun of it is it's like a can of soda. It like is sweet and it gets flat a little bit. Like it. I just think there's more substantive things he could be doing with his talent, and a part of me just wishes that he were focusing on those a little bit more. That's all.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for me, I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson's work, and it's kind of like to the point where every time he has a new film coming out, I'm worried that like, is this going to be the one that I don't fully get on board for? It's kind of it's like Christopher Nolan, right? Where it's like he can't possibly continue just knocking it out of the park. Like, eventually,
and he is batting 100 for you, right? Like, you haven't had any movies that you even kind of disliked in his repertoire.
Yeah. I think that he is really good at what he does and really cares about very, very interesting stories that are always something that kind of pulls me in. When I first started seeing the trailer for Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, I was getting, I'll be honest, I was getting a little worried because the trailers, because they obviously don't want to give away too much of the mystery that you're tuning in to watch, they're really just mini character features. And I was kind of like, oh boy, like the decision to go for these jokes of these character archetypes.
Very broad.
Yeah, it was very broad. It was very like, these were not a bunch of characters that are of a certain type of ilk. It was like, no, each one of these characters is the heightenedest form of the character that they are playing, and everything is sort of played as a joke. And to me, not all of those jokes were landing in the trailers. And then the movie started, and I was getting that same feeling. I was kind of like cringe is not the word I would say. I would just say that, like, I was kind of like, I'm not, this isn't landing with me. This feels like you targeted the next Netflix algorithm, where like it felt like you were dumbing down the characters you would write to appeal to a broader group of people who are going to watch this on Netflix and are going to love the shit out of it. And I kind of felt like, it wasn't like I was betrayed by it, but I just kind of felt like, I feel like I liked it better when you were making like these little indie darling films that are just for the people that are going to see it, and you aren't trying to appeal to a broader group of people. And there was still the things I liked. Like Benoit Blanc is going to be amazing forever. Like I'll watch him do whatever. He can be you just put him in another movie and he's always going to like steal the show. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm still getting that stuff. This is kind of fun, but I was really waiting for things to kick into gear. And there is a turn in this film where I don't know if this is one of the ones that you called way early or not, but something happens and the film just pauses for a second and sort of unspools itself and goes like, okay, we've had our fun. Now let's get into the meat of what I actually wrote, and now let's do it. And I kind of just sat forward in my chair and I went, oh my God, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. like when it actually starts to get into what it wanted to do instead of the let's joke about these different groups of people and the lives that they have and how these seemingly different and weird individuals are all somehow friends and like how do they know each other. Like I kind of didn't care about that stuff, but once the actual mystery kicked in, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I love where this is going. And just watching that continually get deeper and deeper and deeper, it became like I don't know, is a 6-pack of soda? I don't know how to unspool your I don't know how to take your analogy and change it and just go like I had an amazing time by the end of it. And it's hard to compare it to the first film because the first film felt so different than what I could have ever dreamed of having. Like I've never seen a film where from the beginning who done it, why they done it, and what was going on. And that film was all about, can the person who done it not get away with it, but like how do we protect this person from what will inevitably happen based on the people around? Like it had just tipped up the mystery genre on its head and made this thing that was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I think that this film is equally amazing, but starting from about 50% of the way through the runtime, where it's like up until that point, I was kind of just like, all right, we'll see where this goes. And then like once it started, it was like, hey, I know exactly how you feel right now. Don't worry. And then like with a bang, like a bang, it just suddenly was like, boom, nope, here's the movie that you're actually watching. You're 100%. Welcome.
And for me, there are two moments like that in this movie, and we'll get into it in spoilers, but that is the confidence that I'm talking about, where it's like he is confident enough that he's willing to make, I would say, like a B- movie. Like cringe is how I felt too in the first, I don't know, 40 minutes of this movie, maybe before I like knew what it was doing, where I was like, okay, this is like, the celebrities are entertaining and their characters are very silly and I'm gonna have an okay time watching this. But like the amount of time that he is willing to let it be a kind of unremarkable movie where you think you know exactly where it's going and you're kind of like I don't know, feeling a little bit uncomfortable about it is like, it is admirable. Like he knows how to play the audience for sure. And I had the same experience you did where I was like, okay, really? Like I get it. We're going to have the red pill dude, and we're going to have like the vapid celebrity who speaks her mind no matter who it offends. And we're going to have like I get it. All the jokes are like, I think a part of it is that Knives Out like exists in the modern day, but it felt kind of like a timeless thing, like it was like a family dynamic in an old house, and it had this kind of like throwback feel to it. Yeah. This was very much we are commenting on modern day. Like this is a world where COVID exists. We are talking about a tech billionaire, crypto-y type dude, and we are going to have all these characters that are very much satirizing the here and now. Yeah. But as a satire, it plays very broad. It doesn't play sharp, right? It's like, okay, wow, we're really just heightening everyone to 11. And something about that, the amount of time that it left me in that space made me really worried. And he pulled off the magic trick. Like he undoes all of that by the end in a way that I think is very clever and well done.
He peels away the layers of the glass onion to reveal whatever the inside of an onion is called.
Exactly. He peels it away to reveal the beautiful bulbous center at he does it very well. It's just, I would just say that makes this the kind of movie where the joy you get is in not knowing where it's headed. And my hypothetical is like, do you think if you were to watch this a second time knowing where it's headed, you will enjoy that first half of the movie? Like, there's something about the type of trick he does that feels like a one-time trick to me in a way that just inherently doesn't make me feel as high on the movie by the end, because I'm like, well, that was a really fun ride that I went on, you know.
So I was actually thinking tonight, you know, leading into when we were sitting to record, at least one more viewing, I think I can manage to still enjoy that first part, specifically because there's probably at least two characters for which I want to recontextualize every word that they have, right? Mm-hmm. And I think getting to re-experience those and see whether it's an actual magic trick where it's just like Deus Ex Machina itself into what it actually wants to tell, or whether everything still holds true the entire time. Like, that's the thing that I think I'll get joy from going through the second time. You know, on a third watch, it might be one of those things where I kind of just skip to that 50%.
Yeah.
part of the
and
story.
I don't know why this is my litmus test, because most movies I love, I only watch one time. But for some reason, it's like the feeling that they would be rewarding, even if they were spoiled, feels important to me. And I don't know why. It's just, there's like especially because so much of the commentary of the movie is also very like current internet culture type of commentary. It's just like, I don't know. It felt like a really fun TV show to me. Like, there's just something that wasn't 100% cinematic about my experience with it.
Yeah.
Like, very fun, very silly, enjoyed myself, had a blast, but it just felt like a little bit less than, and I can't put my finger on why.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I get that. Like, I was getting it the entire time, but I think like where it goes in the end is so good that I feel like it makes me forget the first half of the film, and makes me just like fully kind of buy into it. Also, like, it was one of those things where even to see it, because Alamo Drafthouse was not playing this film for some reason that I cannot comprehend, and it was just one of those things where I wasn't able to, like, I was in a theater that I never go to, with like crowds that I'm not used to being with, and it was kind of like there was a lot of things about the night that were already off kilter for me. And then when that beginning started, I was like, I'm not sure I'm vibing with this at all.
Yeah, and you're with like let's say like not Alamo crowd, which means they're probably laughing at the lowest hanging fruit and stuff, and you're like, ooh, I am not feeling it the way that they're feeling it.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, it totally came around. I will say earlier when you were talking about, or when we were talking about like peeling back the layers of the onion, so this is one of my biggest complaints about the film right here, which isn't necessarily spoilery, but so in the first film, there's this scene where Benoit Blanc is working through something in his head, and he has this, you know, I'm going to paraphrase and I'm going to totally fuck up this line, but it just, for some reason I loved it. It's the line where he's talking about, he's like,
I spoke in the car about the hole at the center of this donut. And what you and Harlan did that fateful night seems at first glance to fill that hole perfectly. A donut hole in a donut's hole. But we must look a little closer. And when we do, we see the donut hole has a hole in its center. It is not a donut hole, but a smaller donut with its own hole. And our donut is not a hole at all.
I totally bastardized it. If I could just find that clip on YouTube or something, I'll drop it in instead of my line. But I wanted him to have a similar line of dialogue about how he's he's peeling away the layers of the onion, but at the center of this onion is also itself an onion that is glass. And like, I was waiting for that you know, monologue to happen, and it never did. And that kind of, if I'm honest, kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, I hear you. Though in spoilers, we will talk about some very great monologues by Daniel Craig, nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of want to just dive to spoilers, but if you have other non-spoilery stuff, we can go through them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'd even want to say that's non-spoilery.
This one is like a little spoilery, but I won't dig into it. Even though in general I don't love how anchored in right now the movie is, I thought the way it treats and then dispenses with COVID was actually quite funny. I got a pretty good laugh out of that.
Yeah, the cameo centered around that.
Yeah.
That was one of the earlier things where I was like, all right, now I'm vibing with this. And then that finished, and I'm like, oh, dang it, I want more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt the same way. I wanted that cameo to not be a cameo.
I also want that character to be real and for him to come visit me.
Yeah, God, I would be doing so much better right now.
All right, so clearly we want to get into spoilers. Let's go ahead and skip right to our pre-spoiler verdict. Stephen Miller, if you were going to visit a must-see, recommend with a caveat, wait for rental, pass with a caveat, or a must-avoid, what would you give it?
This is an example where my star rating system doesn't quite match with the system we have here, because I gave this a pretty high star rating. I've given it a rating I've given plenty of must-see films. To me, this has to be a recommend with a caveat, just because like when I left it, for all the dazzle, for all of my being impressed that Rian Johnson managed to pull off the trick again, I just felt this little nagging caveat of like, I don't know, it's fun, but I just want a little bit more meat on the bones. I don't know. It is a feeling I have and I can't shake it. So really fun. Definitely go out and see it. Have fun watching it on Netflix. Apparently families love this movie. Like while I was traveling, everyone, everywhere I went, no matter their age or location or anything, were like, oh, did you hear about that new Knives Out movie that's happening? Like I was shocked. Like it permeated the culture in a way I did not realize.
Yeah.
So have a blast. Watch it with the whole family. You're going to have a lot of fun. But yeah, it just doesn't fill me with perfect joy. There's something about it that feels a little bit too like temporary to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, you know, it's hard to fight with that. But I'm gonna try to. I mean, in all seriousness, like obviously the way I've been talking about the film in the first half of the film, it sounds like there's a pretty big caveat, but like I feel like I was happy enough with the end of this film and with like, you know, really just the second half of this film and the way it sort of unravels itself that I just, you know, I have to give it just an honorary must-see because like for me, I did walk out with that high. It's just that midway through, if the projector would have died, I would have been like, man, that sucks. He finally missed one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But in the end, he came through and, in the end, I really enjoyed it. So I think people should check it out.
Yeah, I think he's still batting 100 too. I don't think he's had a miss either. None of these have hit the highs of like a Brick or Looper for me, and I really want him to like go back to that, not that genre, because I know he wants everyone to be a different genre, but like go back to that well of creativity. And I don't know, I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, and I think too that like, you know, part of the reason why I was so scared to have him try to do another one of these is because like the first one not only was like great and it was great from beginning to end, but it was also a situation where it's like the person being murdered is somebody who is famous for writing stories about people getting murdered by other people, right? So it's kind of like there is this meta level to it, but in this film it's a forced meta level because there's a character holding a murder mystery game where they have planned the murder that is supposedly going to happen, and then, you know, maybe murders do happen. And it's kind of like it's a different, it already just in premise, the elevator pitch for this film is worse than the first film. So it's kind of like already starting at a level that feels lesser than. It's coming out on a platform that is lesser than. And it's, you know, like starting with that dong, you know, like thing. It's just kind of like it's like, okay, now I know why it feels the way it does. But at the same time, it's kind of like, man, still got it.
Yeah, he does. He's definitely still got it. I think in spoilers too, I'm going to sound even more positive on the movie because like he does a lot of impressive acrobatics with this story.
Before we can get to spoilers, we have to say goodbye to the folks who are gonna get to see this film on Friday when it comes out. So Stephen Miller, people want to find you throughout the week. Where can they do that?
I mean, apparently I'm never leaving this office, so you can just find me here or at twitter.com/sdavidmiller. That platform is never going away. Nothing crazy is happening over there. Or sdavidmiller.com. My own federated platform, my own Mastodon, sdavidmiller.com. A link tree that Twitter can never ban. So you can always type that and see the one thing a year I write. And yeah, it'll be great.
Cool. People can find me at ChristopherInRealLife.com or Twitter.com/ChristopherIRL. You can find the podcast over at thespoilerwarning.com, where you can get a bunch of the back episodes of the show. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on Overcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or wherever podcasts are found. If you want to know when the episodes go live, you can follow us at Twitter.com/SpoilerWarning, Facebook.com/TheSpoilerWarning, or Instagram.com/TheSpoilerWarning. If you want to get a hold of us directly, you can send an email to fans@thespoilerwarning.com, or you can use the contact form on our site. Music for this episode will come from a track selected from artlist.io, so hopefully you're enjoying that. That music is going to fade up, and when that music fades out, it's going to be full-blown spoilers. We're going to crack open the onion, dive in, and just spoil the ever-living crap out of it. So get ready for that. We'll be back in a second. All right, we are back. This is spoiler territory. It's the after part of a review of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. We are here to talk full-blown spoilers. Steven, where would you like to start?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we can start with the kind of big plot machinations of the movie, the way it retells itself. And we are both going from memory that is a few weeks old. I'm going through COVID fog, so I'm going to trust you to help fill in some of the blanks a little bit more. My recollection of the way the movie works is, first, I would say the first third of the movie, that sounds about right, is like introducing this wild cast of characters, Kate Hudson, Dave Bautista, Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Janelle Monáe, and Daniel Craig, who are all going to Edward Norton's big... I don't remember the character names. I'm just going to say the actor names. I specifically avoided saying Janelle Monáe's character name because I didn't want to accidentally say the name that would be a massive spoiler. But anyway, we were introduced to all of them. They are coming together to go to this murder mystery retreat on this island. And everyone is very, heightened. The Kate Hudson's character is a put-a-foot-in-her-mouth celebrity. Dave Bautista is like... a red pill YouTube man blogger who literally lives in his mom's basement, the kind of thing that feels like, a little too cute, maybe, whatever. And it is being set up, they're on this island. We're seeing this lavish, empty, rich person life of Edward Norton's character, Miles, and the jokes feel a little bit easy. There's like a robot dog that's taking the luggage, and there's like a car on the roof, and everything is so fancy and extravagant, and it's so out of touch. And Benoit Blanc is like being friendly and polite and is kind of getting to know people. And it all hits this moment when Edward Norton's character lays out the stakes of the game that they're going to play. And in that moment, Benoit Blanc solves it in, 30 seconds. That, I would say, is the first rug pull. It's like a mini rug pull. It is a rug pull that says, like, hey, that formulaic thing you thought we were doing, don't worry, we're not going to do it. And that's like a third of the way through the movie. So I was like, okay, good on you. That's fun. I don't know where you're headed anymore. I like it. From there, though, when you think the trick has been exhausted, like we've already had the rug pull moment, and it just becomes about what is happening here, who is going to murder Edward Norton, or like what is going to make this trip be unsafe. We're just observing characters interacting, and it's weird. It's like clunky. Scenes will kind of cut away a little bit before you expect them to. There'll be moments of dialogue. A character will like look in a strange direction. It'll feel like they're playing up for like a stage, almost like overacting, looking in a certain way. It felt very cartoony, right? And I'm like, okay, what is this cartoon that we are in now, where all these characters are exaggerated and heightened, and we're just hearing them have very like blatant conversations, and Benoit Blanc doesn't seem all that piercing anymore. He's just kind of like a silent observer. And then finally, when Janelle Monáe is shot and the film unwinds to reveal that all of this has been a plan by her twin sister to get Daniel Craig to come and investigate her actual murder, her sister's murder from long ago, that was a very impressive feat, and it fills in the blanks of all the kind of awkward moments that cut away too quickly. It tells us why certain characters were overacting. It tells us like a lot of their backstory and a little bit of the motivation. Like, very well done. That is very well done. I'm just going to stop there. To me, those are the two big rug pull moments. There's the quick, fun, winking rug pull of like, no, we're not going to do the formula. And then there's the big rug pull of like, oh, no. This whole, I'm going to say it's like 2/3 of the way through the movie. It's like, no. We're going to tell you like a totally different story now. Christopher, you can have the floor now. Both of those rug pulls worked for me, basically.
Wait, you said what? Both of them?
Both of those rug pulls worked for me. I did not see either of those coming.
Yeah. So the first rug pull of Benoit Blanc, just subverting the entire weekend's plans of like, hey, has the clock started now? All right, here's how you died. Like, he just goes through it. Like, that was I loved it instantly. I laughed. It was hilarious. And then I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of the, like, I got a thing that I wanted, and then afterwards I went like, wait, but now all that other shit that we've sat through for the last like third of the film, now that's all we have. Like, what is going, like, I had seen the shot in the trailer of the gun pointing out through like the one-way mirror or whatever it was, but like, I didn't know, like, I didn't think Benoit Blanc was going to get shot, but in the trailer he's standing alone, so like, you don't see anybody else there. So it's like hard to know what's going on there. So I was definitely curious where this film was going to go from there. At this point in time, we still wonder why was Benoit Blanc invited by somebody, like, how did he get there? And we're wondering who's going to die, because at that point in time, the murder mystery says Edward Norton has to die, but like, that's not the case. I mean, obviously it's not the case, because he's not the one who we theoretically think is dead before the second rug pull. But it's definitely, like, I was definitely curious where I was going. If I can go back and kind of talk about this as juxtaposed to the first Knives Out film, this is another example of the difference there. Is like those stakes that you were talking about. Is it's really hard to understand what the stakes are here, because in the first Knives Out film, it's all about inheritance, right? It's like, oh no, Grandpa's dead. Oh, Grandpa's dead. You know what I mean? It's like literally every single person in that house has a motive, simply for the fact that they all exist there. All of them were fighting about the will in the weeks leading up to the grandfather passing. So it's like, not only do they all have motive, but like, other people have seen them have that motive. And when you're watching Knives Out, it's not just about you trying to see, did you catch what everybody was doing? It's about every single character thinks every other character did it, but every single character could have done it themselves and maybe did, and I think that's like, the stakes are obvious. There's additional stakes for the Ana de Armas character, and like, what does it mean? Like, everybody, if people find out things that are pointing to her, then this is going to look really, really bad, right? So it's like, there's a lot of stuff going on that just means every single ounce of that film is like, holy shit, what's going to happen? Oh my God, yep, I can believe this person. Oh yeah, that's interesting that this person's saying that. This film kind of lacks that. Like, we don't even know what the real connections, save for that scene where everybody goes around the table and says how they know this person and what that person did for them. And what we get is what sounds like a bunch of people that should begrudgingly owe him something, to where if they were to murder him, technically they are now not protected by him. It almost seems like he is, they are all beneficiaries, whatever the benefactors, whatever the word is. They all get something out of being friends with him, and that's why they came to the island in the first place. So it's hard to understand why anybody would want to kill him, given it seems like they all have their own problems that cause them to rely on him in the first place. And it's really, we have to get the information later that explains what's going on. And then obviously by the time the second rug pull is completely finished, no one's actually trying to kill him. Like, we're watching, so it's like a double rug burn, right? Like, rug pull.
Exactly. And it requires us to follow Benoit Blanc through some logical maneuvers that we don't really believe. Like, there's that scene after he has spoiled Edward Norton's game where he's talking alone with him in his office, and he says, like, the reason I have done this is because you. I can't do his voice. You know, he basically says like the reason I did all this is because I believe you are in danger. Like whoever invited me here probably has it out for you, and you have packed this place with people who all have a valid reason to hurt you. And in that moment, I don't think he justifies it. And I'm sitting there being like, that's a big leap. Like, that's a big leap. I don't know if any of what I've learned has like, maybe Dave Bautista has a reason, because by now we've seen him watch you try to hook up with his wife or girlfriend or whatever. And the fact that it makes you wait so long to realize that Benoit Blanc was himself lying and this whole thing has been a charade to solve another mystery, it is like very satisfying. It's just like, it's bold how long the movie lets you think you're watching like a kind of not great movie.
Yeah, it's like everything is very simple and straightforward, and you're like, huh, yeah, this isn't it's not that twisty. And then it twists and you go, the thing is, oh my god, that's a lot of twist.
yeah, there's huge twists. But then it's interesting because by the end of the movie, you know, so first of all, some things that I really enjoyed here. One, I think Daniel Craig this time around gets to do a lot of self-parody, because there are moments when Benoit Blanc is purposely stalling, right? Like just trying to buy time for Janelle Monáe to go do her thing. So you hear him like blustering and revealing the like where they are in the secret and like what it is that he needs to solve. And it is all just him bullshitting basically. And I think it's very funny to watch him him play himself, right? In a very amusing way. I liked all that. The place it all heads in the end is this kind of intentionally deflating reveal where Benoit Blanc is like, you fucking obvious moron. You did the most obvious thing every step of the way. You're unoriginal. You copied everything. Even the, you know, murdering someone you copied from me.
That's my favorite part, because that's the scene you were talking about where he's up in the room and he's like, you've taken all these people and put them in a room and put a gun on the table and turned the lights off. It's like he literally does that exact same thing. And when Benoit Blanc realizes that not only is he completely unoriginal, but he literally, his actual only murder was literally to do the exact thing. Yeah. Like when he's like, oh my God.
And here is where I am going to be the smartass who, if Joanna had been sitting next to me, I would have probably like ruined the movie a little bit. First of all, the moment the gunshot thing happened and the lights went out, I was like, oh, the thing that Benoit Blanc said was going to happen is going to happen. And I kind of assumed Edward Norton was behind it. Yeah. But the second one, and this is like, it feels like a nitpick, but I was so sure it was being like laid up for the movie to subvert later. The Dave Bautista being allergic to pineapple, they telegraph that so loudly early on in the movie. They make a point of him saying like, don't do well with pineapple, allergic to pineapple. There's no pineapple in this thing. And then people are having drinks, and he has like what is clearly like a choking to death on a beverage that he drank. And I'm like, yeah, there's pineapple in the drink. Like while he was dying, I'm like, someone put pineapple in the drink. Of course.
Well, I'm going to be honest, like, because I wasn't really vibing, I was like kind of not paying too much attention at the beginning. And I just thought when he's like, I don't mess with pineapple, I just thought he was like, oh, what, you're not a pussy? You don't like the taste of pineapple?
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, for me, the moment he said that, I was like, that's just like Chekhov's pineapple allergy. Yeah. And then when he died, I'm like, obviously he's allergic to pineapple and there's pineapple in the drink. And so when at the very end, Benoit Blanc like deduces it in like his like realization of how Edward Norton is a piece of shit, that one just kind of bummed me out, because I was like, really, that's all it was? Like that was one that I felt like most of the audience would have called that ahead of time, and it felt like one of those pieces that Rian like maybe was going to write in a subversive way and was just like, screw it, Netflix people are going to watch this, we're going to sprinkle in a couple easy ones for them. I don't know.
So the real question is, was there conversations earlier in the film, not about Dave Bautista saying I'm allergic to pineapple, but about people talking about killing somebody with allergic reactions? Because like that would be the excuse for it, right? It's like a constant like, oh, we had a conversation about like, oh yeah, and then this one person like killed their landlord with peanuts because they had a, like something like that. Like it would be interesting to see if Edward Norton was also stealing that from something different, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think there was, which kind of undercuts the argument that he's only stealing everyone else's ideas.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was just like, to me, even in that moment, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I've known people with intense allergies, but like if a guy who is like deathly allergic to a thing takes a swig of a drink and then dies, I don't think he got murdered. I probably am like, oh, wait a minute, was there an allergen?
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about that part just didn't work for me.
Like, honestly, it would almost be funnier if Edward Norton accidentally poisoned Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Like, right?
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, because then it actually plays into the fact that, like, he has motive, but if it was an actual accident, then we're getting into, territory of other films that
But that other film that you're
mystery.
referencing is what I thought we were watching until the moment we reveal the Janelle Monáe twist.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this is what he's doing. It's a little bit obvious, but he's going to do a thing where all the deaths are going to be accidental, and it's all just going to be because these people are like stupid and don't care about each other and blah 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 blah.
Or it turns out that everyone there has a grudge against one other person, and it's like a perfect circle.
Yeah.
Where, like, everybody's trying to kill just one other person, and they all succeed somehow.
Yep. That would be funny. The Mexican standoff version of this movie. The other thing that how did you feel about like the ending where basically the billionaire is going to win? He always wins. He has so much power, and Janelle Monáe just starts smashing things, and then Chekhov's Mona Lisa finally gets used, and everything is burnt. There was something about that felt like it was trying to make a more powerful social statement than the silliness of the movie could support. I don't know. I didn't quite get the like hell yeah feeling that I feel like the movie was supposed to leave me with.
So to me, it felt a little bit like like obviously this story is not a real story, but it felt a little bit like the Tarantino revisionist history sort of style of thing, where it's like, yeah, the rich guy usually gets away with it, and there's not really anything you can do about it, and this is a situation where like it's just going to happen. But in this version of the story, it's like, no, Janelle Monáe is just going to like fuck up your whole shit and do something that you literally can't come back from. And it's just like, it's not even a matter of like, it'd be one thing if she's like, look, authorities, here's the napkin, which still seemed silly to me, because like, how is a napkin proof of any sort of thing? Like, it'd be one thing if there was you could recreate that napkin like he did, but like, it was just weird. Like, it didn't seem to be the smoking gun that the characters act like it is. Like her character, the actual person who's dead when the movie starts. I don't remember which name is which, if it's Helen or Addie. Andy.
Helen is the actual sister who hires him.
Okay, and then Andy is the dead one.
Cassandra, aka Andy, is the
yeah. So, like the whole reason Andy gets killed is because she has found this napkin, and he's like trying to stop her from revealing to the world that like, hey, this is the real napkin. I definitely invented it. Like, the napkin doesn't say, yes, I agree, she also invented it, here's my signature. Like, there's nothing about that napkin. Right. It's just a different napkin. Like, the whole story is they wrote it together on a napkin, but he's the one. Like, I don't know. That was the weakest part of the film to me, and I didn't quite understand how that amounts to any sort of, like, napkins aren't 9/10 of the law or whatever.
I guess it would show that he perjured himself, because he claimed he wrote it all by himself and he had the napkin to prove it, and hers has the actual logo of the place that the restaurant on it. But it seems like if Rian Johnson is writing the story, so he could have written a more compelling smoking gun if he wanted to. So that seemed weird to me. That whole, it's interesting because the gunshot and then the unraveling of the story was not expecting it at all. Bravo, stand up, impressed. Rian Johnson's done it again. The actual ending of the movie for me was a cascade of things that I either had seen coming for a while or definitely saw coming minutes before they happened. Like I mentioned the pineapple reveal. It was clear that like that substance, I forget what it was, that Alpha Technologies was,
Clear. It's called Clear. Or something like that?
Clear. It was made very obvious that like that is potentially flammable and explosive. And when he said the house was powered by it, I was like, oh, of course, something here is going to involve burning down the house. Like, obviously, it has been planted already. And there were just a bunch of things like that where I was like, I don't know, it had a cascade of things happening that it had like telegraphed. And for me, for whatever reason, those reveals didn't give me the joy of like, hell yeah, you did what, the Chekhov's gun told me you were going to do. I was more like, in these like limited moments, you didn't outsmart me, and I'm a little disappointed in that. Yeah.
The other thing too is like, he's supposed to be this like, evil genius minus the genius part, right? He's stolen everything, but he's an evil dude who was just trying to make a buck. But I feel like if you have this clear thing that isn't going to work as an unlimited power source, but clearly would probably make a good weapon, it seems like you might still be able to make your money a different way. But who knows? Or unlimited heating source. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like it turns out heat can also be used to generate electricity. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, like I feel like at least Leslie Odom Jr. could have like thought of that pivot into a good product that will also make you tons of money.
Yeah, but I don't know. What are you gonna do?
Anyway, that big reveal was still like stand up and clap moment. I can't take that away from Rian Johnson. Like the guts it takes to make like a movie where the like smarmy people in the audience like me are gonna think you've lost your step and think like they figured it all out, and then be like, okay, let me show you what I'm actually doing. Like that, it's an impressive trick for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like the first half is a not great movie and the second half is a great movie. I think it's like the midpoint is an amazing, like, it's an amazing trick it pulls in the middle, and on either end it doesn't live up to that amazing trick, basically. Like I guess I would say it also stagnated a little bit at the end too for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think by then I sort of crossed over into the stuff you want me to think is just fun is now fun for real.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the secret setup to this film that is like under the hood with the fact that like the balls of somebody to show up to a party where you believe the host of the party killed your twin. Like, because it's not like he accidentally killed her, right? Like he murdered her. So it'd be one thing to like, was at a place, an avalanche happened, everybody presumes they're dead, and now they show up, right? To actually show up when you believe potentially everyone at the party expects you to be dead is kind of... It's like, how did you expect this plan to work? I mean, her character in the flashback is like, this is never going to work. And Benoit Blanc is like, no, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like it just seems crazy though, because in a world where you don't know who it is, but you think somebody was involved, then like, what is your gambit? Your gambit is, I know you tried to kill me, but I made it out, or you're seeing a ghost. Like, what is the actual expectation from the character standpoint? Like, what are you trying to do? Or she does know that he's actually an idiot and probably won't know what to do, and he'll reveal his hand because he's off kilter, because a person that he murdered is now in front of him. So yeah, maybe that's just the thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is a dangerous plan, but I think as a dangerous plan, it makes sense, right? Because I guess the problem is Benoit Blanc, and I believe he even says this, he can solve the mystery, but he can't protect her, right? And so, like, of course, if she knows for sure, and she believes she does, that no one has been told about the murder of her sister, then anyone who seems surprised to see her in a way that is not believing it is Andy should be the prime suspect, right? Like, that makes sense.
But that's the thing, is this is somebody who got cut out of the company. Like, there's already a reason why she would not want to be there. That isn't her being dead. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like there's plausible surprise from every single person there.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I want to go back. And like, that was the other person. Like everything that I wanted to go back and see is Janelle Monáe's character and Edward Norton's character, and like re-listen to every single line of dialogue from them and see what they're giving away in their reactions to things. Because he definitely seems surprised that Andy's there, or who he thinks is Andy is there. But he's also like, seems almost intrigued by her being there.
Yeah, exactly. He's being very charming. Not charming, but he, offhand, he's acting very gracious and like he's happy that she showed up.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And yeah, I would be curious to see how those scenes play again. Because there's that one where she is like pushing him, and then he talks about like what makes a winner versus not a winner. And he basically like talks about her problem and why she sucks. And in that moment, it almost makes him more calculated and clever than the movie gives him credit for, because he's like doing this whole blustering argument knowing that he is not talking to her, and maybe having figured out that he is talking to her sister. I don't know. It operates. But then he's also dumb, because why would he not find an excuse to make her have to leave and secretly get rid of her, right? Like, it seems like he could have done something pretty easily.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we got to watch it again, Steven.
Yeah, I guess so. Good thing it's coming to Netflix.
Yep. Any last thoughts about this film?
No, it was fun. made me laugh. I want the COVID cure.
Yeah, that's the thing that we didn't get to talk about in the pre-spoiler segment. Just friggin' Ethan Hawke showing up and just being spray this thing in the back of everybody's throat. It's like a big gun. It looks like a cocking gun, but like it's some sort of concussive little blast of energy. And he's like, "Oh, what does this do? Oh, don't worry about it. It's gone. your COVID's gone." Which
Trust me, you're fine.
also, well, I was just talking about how like, hey, even if your thing can't produce infinite power, but can be an infinite heat source, you could make money that way. If you can cure COVID,
yeah,
I think you're gonna make some money. Like,
definitely. But that's one of those throwaway jokes that doesn't doesn't bother me. There was that, and then an earlier joke too of I think it's Birdie J is wearing a mask that is like a gold chain,
like it's just around the mouth.
Yeah, like it's not even a mask. I think it's like the equivalent of like chainmail or something. It's like holes in between, and I thought that was funny.
It's good times.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for this spoiler conversation about Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. And we'll be back next time another Knives Out Mystery shows up.
Hell yeah.
How can it get more twisty? We will only find out. All right. Bye.
Bye.